One sentence can summarize the Shang Dynasty. It was the first Chinese dynasty we can see clearly through both archaeology and writing. Unlike the Xia, which survives mostly in later texts, the Shang left behind cities, bronze vessels, royal tombs, and thousands of written records. For the first time in Chinese history, we are not just listening to stories, we are looking at evidence. In traditional chronology, the Shang dynasty ruled from around 1600 BCE to 1046 BCE. It replaced the Xia and was later replaced by the Zhou. According to later historical accounts, the founder of the Shang was Tang, a regional leader who rose in the east. At that time, the Xia dynasty was already weakening. Local leaders were gaining power, and the central court had lost authority. Among these rising leaders was Tang, who controlled fertile lands and strong military forces. According to traditional accounts, Tang did not attack immediately. He first built alliances with neighboring tribes and smaller states. He defeated several regional powers before confronting the Xia directly. Finally, he defeated the last Xia ruler, Ji, and founded the Shang dynasty. To justify this act, he declared that the Xia had lost the mandate of heaven. This was more than a political statement. It was a new theory of power. Rulers were not permanent. Their authority depended on their behavior. If they became corrupt or ineffective, they could be replaced. After the victory of Tang, the early Shang rulers spent generations consolidating their rule. They built fortified cities, organized noble families, and expanded their control across the Yellow River region. But the early Shang capitals did not stay in one place. According to historical records, the Shang court moved its capital several times. These moves were often caused by floods, political struggles, or the need for better farmland. This constant movement shows that the Shang state was still developing. It was not yet a fixed, centralized empire. It was a network of royal centers, allied tribes, and noble families tied together by kinship and ritual. A major turning point came under the rule of a king known as Pan Geng. Before his reign, the Shang court had become unstable. Internal disputes weakened the royal authority. To restore control, Pan Geng made a dramatic decision. He moved the capital to a new location called Yin, near today's Anyang. This move was not just geographical. It marked the beginning of the most stable and powerful phase of the Shang dynasty. From this point on, the later Shang kings ruled from Yin for more than 2 centuries. It was here that archaeologists later discovered the famous ruins of the Shang royal capital. At Yin, we see the Shang state at its height. The royal court controlled bronze workshops, organized large-scale rituals, and led frequent military campaigns. One of the most powerful kings of this period was Wu Ding. During his reign, the Shang military expanded its influence in many directions. Oracle bone inscriptions mention numerous campaigns against surrounding tribes. Some of these campaigns lasted for years. The inscriptions also mention a remarkable figure, Fu Hao. She was one of Wu Ding's queens, but she was not just a royal spouse. She was also a military commander. Archaeologists discovered her tomb at Yin, filled with bronze weapons, ritual vessels, and jade ornaments. Inside the tomb were the remains of sacrificed animals and human attendants, showing the scale of royal ritual life. Oracle bone inscriptions also record her leading troops into battle. This tells us something important. The Shang world was not only ruled by kings, but also shaped by powerful nobles, generals, and royal women. At its peak, the Shang state was a complex society. At the top stood the royal family and aristocrats. They controlled land, bronze production, and religious rituals. Below them were commoners, farmers, craftsmen, and laborers. They produced food, tools, and materials for the elite. At the bottom were war captives and slaves, many of whom were used in large-scale sacrificial ceremonies. These sacrifices were not rare events. Oracle bones and archaeological pits show that hundreds of people could be sacrificed at once, often to honor royal ancestors or seek divine favor. This shows how closely religion and politics were connected. The Shang king was not only a ruler, he was the chief priest of the state. He communicated with ancestors through rituals and divination. If the harvest failed or a war was lost, it was not just a political failure. It was a sign that the ancestors were displeased. Over time, this system began to weaken. Frequent wars placed heavy burdens on the population. Large ritual projects consumed enormous resources. Noble families gained more independence, and the central authority became less stable. Traditional accounts describe the last Shang king, Zhou, as the symbol of this decline. He was said to have built extravagant palaces, held endless feasts, and ignored the suffering of his people. Some stories claim he invented brutal punishments and surrounded himself with corrupt advisors. Whether these stories are entirely true or partly propaganda from the next dynasty is difficult to know. But the image of Zhou became a moral lesson, just like Ji of the Xia. In the West, a new power was rising. This was the Zhou people, led by Zhou Wenwang and later his son, Zhou Wuwang. The Zhou were originally a regional power on the western frontier. Over time, they built alliances and gained the support of other groups dissatisfied with Shang rule. After the death of Zhou Wenwang, his son Zhou Wuwang led the final campaign. In 1046 BCE, the Zhou forces met the Shang army at the Battle of Muyi. According to traditional accounts, many Shang soldiers were unwilling to fight for Zhou. Some even turned their weapons around during the battle. The Shang army collapsed, and Zhou Wuwang marched toward the capital. The last Shang king, Zhou, is said to have retreated to his palace, set it on fire, and died inside it. With that, the Shang dynasty came to an end. But the Zhou did something new. They did not just claim victory. They turned the mandate of heaven into a full political theory. They argued that heaven granted the right to rule based on virtue. When a dynasty became corrupt, heaven transferred that mandate to a new ruler. This idea would shape Chinese political thought for the next 2,000 years. If the Xia represents the beginning of hereditary rule, the Shang represents the beginning of verifiable Chinese history. For the first time, we are not just reading legends. We are reading the questions of kings carved into bone. We are looking at the tombs of real rulers. We are standing inside the ruins of a royal capital. And with the fall of the Shang, the dynastic cycle moved forward into its next great chapter, the rise of the Zhou dynasty.